Hi. So today I will be going through the Feb March 2024 Biology Paper 2. I will be going through each of the questions and explain the tricky ones. Question number 1 is a pretty straightforward question. What character is represented by the human function or any animal function of gas exchange? Gas exchange is basically removing the unneeded gas or the gas produced by the respiration carbon dioxide and taking in the oxygen, which is excretion because we are removing carbon dioxide. So A. Question number 2. So we have to look at the diagram which shows Homo sapiens and the other ancestors of Homo sapiens which we have evolved from, and the question asks us to find a statement from the four which is correct. So we will go through each of them. First one says species and the genus for all of them are the same. And B, the species is same but the genus is different. Keep in mind the genus is this part with the capital letter and the species is the part that comes after. So the species is different for all of them, Sapiens, Erectus, for example, and C. The genus is same, and if we look, the Homo is the genus for all of them, so C looks to be correct. And D, it says neither of them are the same, which isn't the case, so the answer is C. Question 3. What is the characteristic of both insects and arachnids? So for these types of question you have to be careful and actually learn all of the points. They are pretty straightforward as well if you know the points. So if we go through all of the options, is it 8 legs, exoskeleton, only 3 pairs of legs, or wings? The correct answer is exoskeletons because both of the groups have an exoskeleton. They don't have bones like humans. Question 4. An animal can swim. It can swim, it has a backbone, and it can produce milk. So we are asked to find the group of the animal. If we look at the two statements, it has a backbone and it produces milk, and only the mammals produce milk. So the answer is C. Question number 5. In which cell structure does aerobic respiration occur? Again, a very straightforward question. That's the powerhouse of the cell, mitochondria. A. Question number 6 asks us to find the formula or identify the formula which calculates the actual size of an object. So we just have to remember the formula. We can rearrange it for any of the three terms, and the formula for magnification is equal to the image size over the actual size. We can rearrange it, and if we rearrange, we can see that actual size will be equal to the image size over magnification, which is B. Question number 7. What is the reason for why oxygen diffuses into the blood from an alveolus into the lungs? So we need to find the reason why the oxygen diffuses, and we know it's because of diffusion, the process, which from a higher concentration the particles or the molecules move to a lower concentration. And we are asked, why does it move from the lungs into the blood? So the lungs must have a higher concentration than the blood. So the answer should be B, because the oxygen concentration in the alveolus is greater than the oxygen concentration in the blood. Question number 8. The two diagram shows two plant cells, cell X and cell Y. The difference between the both of the cells is cell X has a higher water potential than the cell Y. Which of the statement describe what will happen to the water in the cells? So this is about the water potential, which means it's about osmosis, and osmosis is the process of where the water molecules move from a higher water potential to a lower one. So it has to be from X to Y, which means it's B. Edit this part out. Question number 9. Which row describes active transport? Active transport is the movement of molecules across a membrane using energy from expansion, and this happens from a lower to higher concentration, means against the concentration gradient. So if we look at the options, we see moves the substances from a lower to higher concentration. Yes, it does. Requires energy from the respiration. It does. Requires a protein carrier in the cell membrane. Yes, it does. The protein molecule is the part where the transport happens. So it does the job. Means the answer is D. Question number 10. Which row shows the elements that make up a carbohydrate molecule? Carbohydrate molecules contain carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. They do not contain nitrogen. So the answer is C. Question 11. Large molecules are made from smaller ones, which means, for example, like glucose is not glucose. Starch is made up of glucose, or protein is made up of amino acid. So they're asking us to find the correct one which matches from the table. If we read all of the options, cellulose to glucose or fat to glycogen. So the option A is correct because cellulose is a polysaccharide molecule and glucose is the basic sugar which makes it up. So it's A. Question 12. Here we have to interpret the graph, and how we do that is, first let's look at point 1. At point 1, as the temperature is increasing, the enzyme activity increases. Question 2, the enzyme activity is decreasing because the temperature has been too high and it has denatured the active site. Now we have to find the correct statement for each of the temperature from the table. If we read the options, we can see A and D match for temperature 1. And if we check for temperature 2, which option matches? It can be the last one. The active site changes the shape so that the substrate cannot fit. This is because the enzyme has been denatured because of the high temperature. And this is the right answer. So question number 12, it's D. Question 13. Here we have to find the limiting factor for the rate of photosynthesis at point X. If we go through the question, we have to again interpret the graph. And this is an easy one. Since the temperature hasn't affected the rate of photosynthesis after the point 20, we can say that temperature must not be a limiting factor. It has to be either carbon dioxide concentration or light intensity. And here we can see that X lies on the graph with the medium light intensity. So that means the light can be higher. The intensity can be higher, so the light intensity is the limiting factor. It's C. Question number 14. In plants, which ions are used to make amino acids? Amino acids need nitrate ions, so it's nitrate. B. Question number 15. Which structure is the cuticle? The cuticle is basically a waxy substance on the outside of the cell, meaning it protects the cell from too much water loss and as well as a barrier between the cells. So it's A because A is the part that labels the outer shell or waxy part. 16. Poor nutrition can lead to a condition called rickets. Now, rickets, if we recall, is caused by not having enough calcium or vitamin D. Vitamin D because vitamin D is needed to absorb calcium. So if it's not there, then calcium will be automatically less. So they're asking which child if a child has rickets and which food would be best for that child. The food must contain vitamin D as well as more calcium. So it's B. Question 17. Which food group is chemically digested in the mouth, passes through the stomach, and then continues to be broken down by chemical digestion in the small intestine? It says it's chemically digested in the mouth. And if we remember, mouth contains saliva, and saliva has an enzyme called amylase, which breaks down carbohydrates. So the answer must be A because it can't be protein. Protein are digested in the small intestine and the stomach, and others are not digested, B or D. So it's A. Question 18. Which row about bile is correct? The organ where bile is produced in the liver and is stored in the gallbladder. So it's C or D. Effect of bile on the fat droplet surface area. What does bile do to the fat droplets is basically break them down, emulsify them, which means the surface area will increase. So it's D. And the emulsification process is a physical digestion process. It's not chemical, it's not breaking down the molecules. So it's D. Question 19. Here we are told some of the features of villi and we have to state which of them are correct. Or not correct, I mean which of them are important for glucose observation. So here all of the options are correct. The villus contains a lacteal. Yes, it has a network of capillaries. Yes, it does. The surface of each of the outer cells is covered in microvilli. Yes. And the villi increase the internal surface area. It does. So it's A. Question 20. Which statements about xylem vessels are correct? Xylem vessels have cells with closed walls. They don't. The cells make up a continuous column. They don't have their in between walls. So this is wrong. Xylem vessels have their walls thick with the lignin. It does. Xylem vessels transport water and mineral ions. Yes, it does. So it's 2 and 3. C. Question number 21. Dooder is a plant that grows on other plants called hosts. The dooder plant connects to the host's vascular bundles, which means the vascular bundles contain the phloem as well as the xylem. So it takes the amino acids and sucrose as well as the water and the mineral ions from the host cell. So they are asking us to identify which of them are hosts or sources. The host leaves are producing the sucrose and amino acids, so they are acting as the source. And the dooder is the one that's taking them, means it is the sink. So it's C. Question number 22. The diagram shows part of the human circulatory system. Which structure is the hepatic vein? Hepatic vein or artery are the are the needed vein or arteries for the liver? So it's D, because vein takes the blood to the heart. So the D is the part where the blood is going from the liver to the heart. Question number 23. Which is a feature of passive immunity? It's the answer is A, because the antibodies are acquired from another individual, and the passive part of this means that it's not permanent. The permanent one, the long term lasting, is the active. So it's a simple straightforward question. Question number 24. The diagram shows the change in the rate of breathing of an athlete, and we have to find the cause that find the cause that causes the response during time period y. The time period y here and here shows it's increasing, which means there has to be a change which increases the rate of breathing. If you look at the options, it says a decrease in the concentration of oxygen in the blood, or the decrease in the concentration of urea, and then option C says an increase in the concentration of carbon dioxide. The correct option is C. This is because when carbon dioxide increases in the blood, the increase in concentration of the gas causes the pH of the blood to decrease slightly, and then this is detected by the blood by the brain receptors, which causes the muscles in the lungs to contract and relax faster, hence increasing the rate of breathing. Question number 25. These are the processes that occur in plants: active transport, cell division, osmosis, transpiration. Which of the processes require energy from respiration? It's active transport. Cell division, osmosis is a passive process, it does not need energy. Transpiration does not need energy as well. So it's 1 and 2, meaning A. Question number 26. What is the balanced equation for anaerobic respiration in bees, not humans? Don't confuse this with the breakdown of glucose in the human. In humans, through the process of aerobic respiration. In anaerobic respiration in yeast, ethanol is produced. If we look at the equations, it's not D, C. It's not C or A. It's B, because the ethanol molecule is there as well as carbon dioxide. Question number 27. Which labeled organ has a major role in the assimilation of amino acids by converting them to proteins? We have to look at the diagram and spot liver, because liver is where the proteins are formed. So it's A. Question number 28. A toxin that is the same shape as a neurotransmitter prevents muscle contraction. Which statement explains why the toxin prevents muscle contraction? So, if we remember, there is the synapse. The neurotransmitters diffuse across the junction and then join on the receptor molecules on the synapse. And it says it acts as a neurotransmitter and has the same shape, meaning it will bind on the protein carriers. Hence, it will then cause a problem. This means the answer is A, because it mentions the binding of neurotransmitters to the receptors, which is the protein molecules on the post neuron. Question number 29. We have to identify the part where the light is refracted, and we know it is the lens, which is this part. But the cornea also refracts the light onto the lens. So the cornea is the outermost part, which means it can't be B or C. It is D. This part is the cornea. Question number 30. A patient is injected with adrenaline. If we know what does adrenaline means, it's a hormone, and the hormone will increase the pulse rate, as well as the blood glucose concentration so that the muscles can respire more and more gas exchange can happen because the blood will be faster circulating around the body. It's not A or B or D because in all of them in B they both are decreasing. A and D, one is increasing, one is decreasing. C is the correct answer because both of them should increase. Question number 31. This is a plant. It has a shoot and a root which are growing, and it's responding to gravity. So keep that in mind. Which row shows where the oxygen accumulates and the effect of this in the shoot? So we are talking about the shoot here, this part. It accumulates in the lower part, lower surface, because if we remember correctly, the oxygen will cause cell elongation, which means the cell where oxygen is present will grow faster than the cells where it is not present, which means this is B. 32. Question number 32. Which factors would increase the chance of antibiotic resistance from happening? If we look at the options, regularly giving antibiotics to healthy livestock, which is one of the points, so yes, it does increase. Only using antibiotics to treat bacterial infections. I mean, if we think about it, this point is not exactly causing the increase. So it may be or maybe not. But in all of the options A, B, C or D, there's only 2. So let's check the other ones. Point 3. Using several different antibiotics to treat an infection. If we use many antibiotics to treat one infection, this means the bacteria will be exposed to many of the antibiotics, hence more chance of antibiotic resistance. So it's definitely 1 and 3, so the answer should be B. Question number 33. What is an advantage of using asexual reproduction in crop plants? A pretty straightforward one. You can go through the options, but the clearly the answer is A, because this type of reproduction causes the offspring to be exactly same as the parents, meaning the desirable characters will be present there as well. So it's A. Question 34. This is about the menstrual cycle and about the hormone FSH. They're asking us which of the from both of these graphs, which of them is FSH, the hormone. It's A, B, C or D. So FSH is the hormone which causes a follicle to form in the ovary, which then causes estrogen to be released. So if we look closely, at day 14, the ovulation will occur. The egg will move into the oviduct. So at that point, FSH has to be the highest because it should stimulate the follicle to release estrogen. So it's B. It can't be A. A will be the LH, and this graph is for the other two hormones. Question number 35. This is a tricky one. So if we read the question, the meiotic index of a tissue is the percentage of cells in the tissue that are dividing by the mitosis, which means the cells which are dividing by mitosis is over the total number of tissue cells in the tissue. So the total cells. And then the table shows the information for two tissue samples, X and Y. Now the question asks which of the statements is correct. tissue X is growing fastest with a meiotic index of 31.3%, and A and B states that tissue X is growing the fastest, and C and D states it's Y. If we compare the meiotic index of both of the tissues, 25 over 80 is times 100 is 31.25. This shows that, and if you compare it to 15 over 110, the 25 over 80 is a larger percentage, which means the meiotic index of X is fastest. It's faster than Y, and we have already calculated the meiotic index of X, which is 31.25 rounded to 31.3. So it has to be A, it can't be B. So the correct answer is A. Question number 36. Fruit flies can either have red or white eyes, and this is a sex-linked characteristic with the gene for eye color located on the X chromosome, and the allele for the red eyes is dominant over for the white one. So white one is R, and R capital is for the red eyes. So they are telling us that a fruit fly with this genotype is crossed with fruit fly with this genotype, and they are asking which percentage of the offsprings will have red eyes. We can draw a simple table, which is the best way to answer these questions. This table, and this is RY. We can label the genotypes, and if we do the crossing, we will find out that for 3 out of 4 it will be red eyes, so that's 75%. So let's see which statement about variation is correct. A, B, O blood groups show continuous variation. No, they are distinct and discontinuous variations. Body mass shows discontinuous variations. Again, opposite, it's continuous variations. Seed color in peas shows continuous variation. No, distinct colors will be there, so it's discontinuous variations. So it's not A, B, or C. So it must be D, because the seed shapes in peas shows discontinuous variation. The shape of the pea can be either round, or it cannot be round, or any other shape. So that's the correct answer. Question number 38. Which row shows part of the nitrogen cycle? If we go through the options, decomposition, amino acids are changed into protein. It doesn't happen in any of the process. It's not A. And the nitrate ions are converted to amino ions by denitrification. No, it's the wrong process. And nitrogen fixation, nitrate ions into nitrogen gas, which is wrong. It is the opposite thing. Nitrogen fixation is the nitrogen gas in the air to nitrate ions, so it's not C as well. Nitrification is the right answer because amino acids will be ammonium ions will be converted from cut this part out. Question number 38. Which row shows part of the nitrogen cycle? If we go through the options, the correct option will be coming out to be D. Why? Because nitrate ions are produced from ammonium ions by the process nitrification. Question number 39. When in vitro fertilization is used in captive breeding programs, then these processes occur. The egg is fertilized, 2, 3 and 4, all of these processes, and we have to order them in the correct order. So the first process must be the egg is removed from the ovary, and then the sperm cells will be added so fertilization can happen, and then the step will be fertilized, and then last 3 it will be replanted into the uterus, meaning it's B. The diagram shows a bacterial cell. Which cell structure is used in genetic modification? So if we remember, if we call genetic modification in bacteria is achieved by the plasmids, which are circular circles of DNA, except the main DNA in the bacterial cell, so it's D.